Welcome back into another live edition of the Danny Sancomb Show. I'm your host, Alex King. Good to be back on our nice Tuesday schedule here with no holidays or anything, back to a normal week here on campus. I'd like to welcome in Coach Danny Sancomb.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So, Coach, let's dive right into it. You know, we had a game here on Saturday. Pretty big matchup, to say the least. I mean, you're talking about two teams that were tied in the PSAC West in the standings. Going into that game, I know you probably don't stress to the team that much about the importance of where the standings are, but did you feel a lot of stress going into that game and the importance of it?
No, not stress. Just knowing we would have to play well if we wanted to win the basketball game. Mercyhurst is a talented team, a well-coached team, so we knew we'd have to play well if we wanted to win the game.
So a slow start for both teams, you know, over the first about 9 minutes of that game. You know, you're just holding on to a nice 10-7 lead, you know. How'd you feel? It seemed like both teams were turning it over, but the defense was solid throughout.
Yeah, I was happy with our defense, but I was a little worried because it felt like it was their type of game the first 8 minutes of the game where it was low scoring. They definitely controlled the tempo of the game, and we weren't able to get out and run at all in the first 8 minutes of the half, and I was a little worried just about how the game was going at that point in time. And then we started to make some shots, and we were solid defensively, so we created some transition opportunities, which really helped us.
Yeah, it was like one of those, felt like almost like Gannon game where the pace was just very slowed down, you know. Yeah, like you said, that's typically how Mercyhurst has been over the years under their coaches. They like to slow the pace and control the game under their circumstances. But you're able to get out to an 11-2, go on an 11-2 lead, and then build up a 21-9 lead with 6 minutes left to go before, you know, a 15-4 rally heading in there with Tim Smith leading the way with 6 points. He really picked up, and you went into halftime with a 38-17 lead as we got the highlights playing here. I mean, how proud of you were your defense in the first half? 17 points is not a whole lot.
17 points on low field goal percentage is great. We did a good job. Their guards are really good. We kept the basketball in front, and we kept them out of areas where we really had to help a lot, where they can get open looks for the three-point shots. So we were able to make them take contested three-point shots the first half, which is always good.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before the game. They were a team that was in the top 10 in the nation in three-point percentage. It seemed like you really had your guys spread out along the perimeter to, you know, really contest shots, which is what they wanted to do, is shoot a lot of threes early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think with them, they usually make you help a lot, and they drive. They shoot such a high percentage because they play so unselfish. They move the basketball, their spacing's good, and they usually take open threes. And we just wanted to make sure we didn't give them open looks, and for the most part, we did a good job. I think it's like any other basketball game. I think they had some good looks at times, and they missed some that they normally make, but for the most part, we did a good job making them take contested threes.
Yeah, so Coach, they come out in the second half there, and right there they score 47-37. They get it going there, and they pretty much close the gap with about 12 minutes to go. So they're, you know, getting back into there, but it really seemed like Brent Pegram took over at that point, scoring 8 of the next 10 points for your team. You ended up building that lead up to 62-43 with about 5 minutes to go, and it seemed like another stellar game for him. He has a second career double-double.
Yeah, he did it all. He made shots. He took great shots. He got to open areas. You know, when you play a team like Mercyhurst, you got to get to open areas because they're going to collapse in the lane and make things difficult. And Brent not only made shots, he distributed the ball. You know, anytime you have 10-plus assists, and he was getting our guys some easy baskets. He did a good job attacking under control and finding the open guy. And, when you're playing elite teams, you know, it always helps when your top players are ready to play, and Brent surely was ready to play on Saturday.
Yeah, Ben Pegram gives you his second career double-double, 23 points, 7 of 14 shooting, makes 5 three-pointers in the game. A career-high 10 assists for him. He's been on that 9-assist realm for a couple times here. We're getting right on the edge of that. Picked up a double-double earlier this year with rebounds, so a solid game underneath for him. I mean, Coach, we talked about his last game at Gannon. In the last 2 games, he's had 19 total assists. He's really been facilitating, as we talked to earlier in the year. That's something you really wanted him to stress about this season.
Yeah, he has the ability to score. There's no doubt about it. And when he has it going, you know, you want him to go. But we're usually at our best when he's distributing and getting guys easy baskets. And he's just a true point guard. You know, when you have the ability and your point guard has the ability to be good in both areas, scoring and creating for others, it makes life a lot easier. And Brent does that as well as anybody in our league.
And then you have Zion Collins giving you 18 points on 7 of 14 shooting, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. And then Tim Smith Jr. picking up another 12 points. And Jermaine Hall back on the boards again, gives you 10 rebounds, 7 points, 3 assists. It seemed like your backcourt shot 50% for the game. They did, and it seemed like they had a big influence on the game. Did you see that going in?
Yeah, we need those guys to play well. Zion is a tough matchup. He has the ability to score in a lot of different ways, and he did a good job. He scored off just hard cuts, and he got some easy layups, and then he had some great drives and pull-ups. I think he hit a 3, so he scored in all facets of the game and just was solid, with the 7 rebounds, deflections on the defensive end. He had a solid game for us again. And when he plays at a high level and Brent plays at a high level, we're a tough team to beat.
So, Coach, the team improves to 13-6 overall, 9-4 in conference play. Now sitting alone in third place, 1 game behind Pitt Johnstown for second place. But there's a lot of teams below you playing just as well. How do you continue to stress that in practice? To the players that this month has been great for you guys, but we got to keep this going.
Yeah, I mean, the past is the past. Our focus is on Wednesday. And it's 1 game at a time. After we play Wednesday, our focus will be on Saturday. Obviously, when we get finished Saturday, we'll focus back on Wednesday. We just got to stay in our routine, be who we are, work hard each and every day at practice, continue to get better. And if we work hard, we will continue to get better. But we can't start looking at standings and say, well, if this team wins or this team loses. The most important thing is to take care of your own business, and that's our focus right now. And we'll focus on Clarion and be ready to play tomorrow against them, and then we'll have to worry about Slippery Rock after that.
Yeah, so Kyle, you finished the game shooting 50% from the field. Gave you 47.6% from three-point range, 24 points in the paint, shoot over 50% in the second half, and then Mercier's season low shooting night, 27.3, only made 1 of 24 from three-point range, so great defense attributed to that. 26 points in the paint, and then 13 second chance points. And then, it seemed like the best game in town that night. It definitely was. I think a lot of people's eyes were on that game, and, Cal proved it, coming out 69-51. So, Coach, let's move on to earlier this week. Jermaine Hall Jr. picks up Defensive Athlete of the Week honors. Third straight week the Vulcans have gotten that honor. What does that say about your team buying into the defense, how tough defense is, and then, playing that going forward? Yeah,
we asked Jermaine to do a lot. Jermaine is a unique player because he can guard on the perimeter. He can guard a bigger guy. He really does a lot of things defensively that helps us. And he just competes. The best thing about Jermaine, everybody says, oh, he's a great athlete. There's no doubt about it. But his competitiveness is what when I saw him in high school, is what I wanted. And he does so much for our team. It was great to see him earn that. He was great on the defensive glass. But we ask him to guard a lot of different type of guys, and he does a good job, whether he's guarding a 6'7", 6'8" guy that's 225, 230 pounds, or he's guarding a 6'4", 6'5" wing who's 185 pounds. So it was nice for him to do that. We ask a lot of him on the defensive end. Obviously, we asked a lot of Zion, and those 2 guys have gotten it here recently. So really happy for both of those guys, and it's well-deserved.
Yeah, Zion Collins had picked up the award the previous 2 weeks before. Luke House earned it earlier this season. Jermaine Hall now gets it. So a lot of people paying attention to Cal playing very well on the defensive end. Jermaine Hall averaged 8.5 rebounds last week. He's had a season high scoring performance against Gannon with 15 points, and then gave you 7 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists against Mercyhurst. Coach, over the last 6 games, Jermaine's averaging 8.8 points, 7.3 rebounds, and even giving you 2 steals a game. It seems like he's really improved his game over the last couple weeks.
Yeah, with Jermaine too, you forget about he had that foot injury last year that sidelined him for the rest of the year. He didn't have any summer to be able to work out. He got cleared, I think, towards the end of July. And I just feel like he's just starting to get his confidence back with that. But he's been great for us all year. We ask a lot of him. I stay on Jermaine constantly because I know, he can take it, and he's so important to the success of our team. He's got great leadership skills, but he rebounds, he defends, he does a lot of the little things, takes charges that maybe sometimes the box score doesn't show, but that's what needs to happen to win basketball games.
So you have Jermaine, was one of the top rebounders on the team before he went down last year, but he's gotten right back into that phase now, leading the team with 118 total rebounds, leading the team on the defensive glass and the offensive glass this year per game. Coach, we also talked about your three-point defense seems to be one of the best in the league right now, second in the conference, only allowing teams to shoot about a little over 31% against you this season. Do you feel like, is that something that just has come with the season, or do you stress three-point defense in practice?
I think it's both. We don't want to give open looks. People talk about what wins basketball games, and if you give up open shots, you usually lose. So we've done a good job in making teams take contested shots. We try to stress to not give open threes, especially to the right guys. So we've done a good job on that, and we got to continue to do that. That's a big part of our defense, is not allowing teams to beat us from the three-point line.
Yeah, and then you have two players in the top 10 right now in steals per game, and Brent Pegram and Zion Collins. And Brent Pegram continues to lead the PSAC with almost 2 steals a game. What's it like now, as we talk so much about the zone defense, which we kind of don't mention anymore, but being able to put your guys one-on-one with the athleticism of Brent and Zion?
Yeah, it's good. I've never played a lot of zone until last year, but that was the circumstances that I think we had. We've got some guys that can guard. They can guard. Brent can make plays on the defensive end by stealing the ball from an offensive player, and Zion has the ability, to do that too. They both have really quick hands. They're both quick, have quick feet, so they're built to be really good defenders, and they're both tough. So they give us that opportunity. Jermaine can steal the ball. Luke House. We got 5 guys out there usually that have the ability to get their hands on basketball. So hopefully we can continue to do that, because usually when you steal the ball, you get transition opportunities, which we want to be able to play a little faster than we have really up to this point.
Yeah, Coach. Great, another great defensive accolade to bring along to this week, as well as the winning 6 of your last 7 games. We'll take a break here on the Danny Sancomb Show. When we come back, we'll preview the standings, the upcoming schedule, and preview the game against Clarion and Slippery Rock coming up. We'll be right back with the Danny Sancomb Show.
Awkward.
I'm the awkward silence.
You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here's about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Have you seen the new Cal U Vulcan logo around? Have you wondered where to get gear featuring it? Then go to calvulcans.com and click shop. Log on and browse a full selection of men's shirts, women's shirts, pullovers, hoodies, and more. All items feature customization with the new Cal U Vulcan logo and wordmark. The site also features a full selection of hats, tailgating items, and accessories. Don't be the last person to sport new Cal U Vulcan gear. Go to calvulcans.com today.
Pride and passion drives the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. From 55 NCAA championship teams, 294 individual national champs, and counting. Who's next? Make the PSAC yours. PSAC Proud is winning in athletics and in the classroom. Over 3,100 PSAC student athletes are honored as scholar athletes. It's a perfect mix of athletics and academics. It's time to make the PSAC yours.
Welcome back into the Danny Sancomb Show. Now it's time to take a look at the PSAC West standings as we get ready to head into the final game of the first round, opening round of play in the PSAC West before we wrap it up again with the teams all over again in the back half here. So we have Clarion coming up, and then we have Slippery Rock. But we'll look at the West standings here as they're coming up here, as it's heating up quite a lot here as IUP continues to keep it rolling. They come in and defeat Clarion 82-71 for their 8th straight victory. Pitt Johnstown moves to 10-3 with a nice win there, and then Cal U now alone in 3rd place at 9-4. Right behind them, Mercyhurst as well as Gannon. Gannon picking up a very big win over East Stroudsburg in a low-scoring affair, 61-48. And then right there is Slippery Rock, and they've been playing very well of late. They beat Edinburgh 79-73. Edinburgh drops their 8th straight game. And then we see there Clarion, followed by Edinburgh, and then Seton Hill. So there's definitely a big race there happening between the 3rd and 6th spot here. So and that has a lot of implications on what's going to happen later on the season. We won't focus too much on it now, but there's definitely a lot of teams playing well, Coach.
No doubt about it. Our side is brutal. There's so many good basketball teams. We played Gannon and Mercyhurst back-to-back. They're 2 really good basketball teams. They're defensive. They both defend extremely well and make things difficult. And then obviously Pitt, Johnstown, IUP, Slippery Rock are outstanding teams as well. So you got to play every single night on our side if you want to have success.
And then we'll look over at the PSAC East, where it's just as crowded as it was last week. As we were talking with Coach, it's pretty much anybody's game. I think 3 of the bottom teams all picked up wins, so it just changed everything again. Shippensburg continues to lead the way with a 12-1 record, and then another loss for Westchester. That's their 4th in a row now. They lost to Bloomsburg 102-89. I mean, things have been struggling of late for the Golden Rams, but still hanging on to that second-place spot after a very strong start to the season. Millersville doing excellent, 7-6 in conference. That was a great game to start the early part of the year. It's good to see them playing well. Seems like a very good opponent that we placed early in the year where we beat in double overtime. East Stroudsburg continuing to hold pace in Kutztown at 6-7, and then Shepherd, Lock Haven, and Bloomsburg all there with 5 wins. So one win could shift everybody. East Stroudsburg could go all the way down to almost 8th place with a loss if the other 3 teams below it pick up a win. So the East is just as crazy as as ever, and it's going to be very interesting down the stretch. I bet you're happy that it's a little less crowded on your end, right, Coach?
That's amazing how competitive it is. Like you mentioned, Millersville. Millersville is a really good team. They had a terrible injury, losing their best player when they played Gannon, I believe it was. Terrific player, but they have found a way to weather the storm and bounce back, and they play very, very hard. Westchester is as talented as a team as I've seen this year. Shippensburg is always outstanding. And then, like you said, Shepherd, all those teams are so sandwiched in there, and each and every game will be very, very important over there.
Yeah, Coach, we never really talk about it, but are you a big fan of watching a lot of the games around the league when you're not playing?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Division II basketball, so I love our region, but I also like watching outside of our region. I think there's so many wonderful players and coaches in our level, and it's great to have an opportunity to watch them. So a lot of times we'll have the computer on, and I'm watching maybe an NCAA Division I game at home, and I got my computer on watching a Division II game. So I stay very connected with that. I'm a big fan of Division II basketball.
It's great to hear. Well, there's a lot of competitive matchups coming up this Wednesday. It was a little light last week with teams playing a lot of the higher ranked teams playing a lot of lower ranked teams, but there's a lot of great matchups. Gannon's going to Slippery Rock for a 7:30 matchup on Wednesday. Edinburgh's traveling to Mercyhurst, Seton Hill at IUP, and then Shippensburg at Shepherd, Lock Haven at East Stroudsburg, and Westchester at Millersville. So we just talked about Westchester and Millersville there, one game separating them, and that game is going to play a huge influence on where they're going to sit after that. So very exciting games coming up on Wednesday, and other games to look at on Friday as well, outside of Cal U versus Slippery Rock, which is going to be a great game. UPJ at Gannon, IUP at Mercyhurst, and East Stroudsburg at Shippensburg. So a lot in play for these teams in these next 2 weeks. Definitely a tough 2 games for Gannon as they're going to play Slippery Rock and UPJ. So we'll see how that all pans out when we get back here on Tuesday. But Coach, let's dive right into Clarion here, the last team in the opening round that we haven't seen yet. And last year it ended up in a split between the 2 sides. We won the game at home, lose the game on the road. They're 4-15 this season, 3-10 in conference, but they've had pretty good wins as of late. They beat Edinburgh and Bloomsburg, as we just talked about Bloomsburg coming off a big win over Westchester. And then we're very competitive, I think, when you talk about the IUP game, only losing 82-71. What have you seen on film when you're watching them under this first-year coach, Damon Pitts?
Yeah, they're playing well. Like you mentioned, they've won 2 out of their last 3, and they played IUP very, very well. I think they were down 2 at half. It was back and forth the entire second half. They can create matchup problems. Their guards are strong. They have the ability to get downhill, make plays. They'll find guys. They're very good on the offensive glass, and they defend. They're one of the better defensive teams in our league. I think they hold teams to 42% from the field. And they work hard defensively, so they don't give up a lot of opportunities for offenses. So we got to really move the ball and execute well if we want to come out on top.
So, Coach, let's talk about how practice has been going in general, too. We talk about team health and how the practices have been leading up to this game.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of a touch of flu with a couple of our guys that have missed yesterday and today. I got a guy back today, which is always nice. But, that's part of the season. All teams will deal with some type of adversity throughout the year, whether it's an injury, whether it's sickness. And you got to just continue to move on. Like I tell our guys, take care of your bodies. Stay away from the sick guys, wash your hands. But you got to deal with those things. But we had a really good practice Today we were okay Monday, but today I like what we did. We got the game plan in. Our guys are ready to play. We know what they're going to do, and hopefully we're ready and we can stop what they do.
Yeah, typically that bug starts going around school now that all the students are back, so a lot of people crammed in a lot of small places around campus. Like Coach said, they're also shooting very well from three-point range this season, doing a relatively good job there, and they have pretty high block numbers, Coach. You said a good defensive team. Do you see that they're able to really block shots when they're down low?
Yeah, they got good athletes, but they also play in good help side. They don't get stretched out too far where they give a lot of free layups to teams. So then they have some guys that can make some block shots for sure.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about this senior and Steven Rodriguez. I think he's really been the player that's coming along for them lately. Guard 6'5", second best shooting percentage in the PSAC currently now, averaging 14 points, 5 rebounds, shooting over 55% from the field, and also a very good free throw shooter. But, you only say 14 points, but in the last 3 games, he's had 3 20-point performances, including 21 points at IUP. It seems like he's really been kicking the offense.
Yeah, he's played very well. He has the ability to score with his back to the basket. He has the ability to face up and make some shots. He has the ability to score on offensive rebounds. He's a strong player who comes off the bench and gives them production. He scores those points, and I think he's only playing about 22, 23 minutes a game. So he's productive. So when he's in the game, we're going to have to be ready to work on him and make things difficult on him.
Yeah, definitely an end to watch out for in that game going forward. So that game was going to be scheduled for Wednesday, 7:30 at the Convocation Center. It's CUTV, PSAC Sport, this PSAC Network, and WCAL are going to all be on the call there for the game. It's going to be an exciting one in the Convocation Center following the women's game. So 2 very exciting matchups on Wednesday night. We'd love to have you out there, all the fans, student, faculty, come out and support the teams. This men's team's been playing excellent as lately, and this will help us close the opening round of play. So, Coach, we'll just dive right into Slippery Rock next here. It's a team we've already seen this year. You edged them 94-93. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago where Brent's hitting that runner to win the game at Slippery Rock. They're now at 10-9 this season, 6-7. They've won 4 of their last 5 games, including wins over Millersville, Mercyhurst, and Edinboro. What's it like preparing to face a team for the second time around?
Well, they'll have a good feel of what we're going to do. We'll have a good feel what they're going to do. They can defend very, very well. They have some guys that create some matchup problems. They're much better than their record. They had the Micah Teal didn't play first semester. They have him back. He's one of the most dominant Division II players in the country, and they have a bunch of guys that can score the basketball. So after we get through Clarion, we'll focus in on them, but we'll have to play well if we want to win on Saturday as well.
Yeah, Coach, you're watching the highlights here from last game. It was quite a thriller. There was pretty much everybody was making shots in that game. Both teams shooting lights out. Excluding Slippery Rock from beyond the arc, they had one of their best shooting nights, I think, probably all year. They would say. Looking at Slippery Rock now, I mean, we were just talking about it. They didn't have Micah Till to start the season, but it seems like now that he's back, the team has really found their stride.
Yeah, he just creates so many mismatch problems offensively. He's big, strong, and he has the ability to make threes, put the ball on the floor. He can post up. He passes the ball extremely well. Their guards are very good as well. So they're a complete basketball team. They're well coached. They play hard. So, to beat a team like that, you got to play well.
Now, Coach, I mean, when you typically look at a team the second time around, is it more likely that you would look for things in this film right now that we're watching the highlights from it, but the film in general, to find improvements and maybe look at a new game plan, or do you like to stick with stuff that really worked in the last game?
We'll look at it and see what worked well against them, and we've changed a little bit since we played them. They've changed a little bit since we played them too. So we'll make some adjustments, obviously, for that game, and I got to study them a little bit more to have that. I haven't worked on them yet. We haven't finished with Clarion, so we got to take care of that. But we'll have to move the ball against them. They're very good defensively. We want to get them into some closeout situations. Hopefully we get good ball movement, some dribble penetration to stretch their defense out. If not, it'll be a long night.
Yeah, Coach, I mean, we always talk about Micah Till. There's the game winner from Brent. Very exciting time there for the team. It really kind of propelled the team forward into the stretch we're having now. We always talk about Micah Till, but let's talk about a senior, Will Robinson, on their team, a forward 6'5". He had an outstanding game against you in that game in general, and he's leading the team with 19.7 points, 8.5 rebounds, shooting almost 50% from the field. He seems like, a pretty bad, it seems like a tough matchup for any player.
He's a man. He's a little bit undersized, but his strength and explosiveness is as good as anybody in our league. He can score in the post. He can face up and drive the ball. He can shoot the three. He's a very, very talented player. Great on the offensive glass. So yeah, he's their leading scorer. He can score in a lot of different ways. So he presents matchup problems for everybody. So we'll have to work extremely hard and try to make things difficult on him.
Yeah, they basically have almost like a three-headed monster there at Slippery Rock. Will Robinson, Micah Till averaging 18.1 points now playing the second half of the season. Yeah, 6.5 rebounds in about 27 minutes, and then Jared Armstrong also having an outstanding season, 16.8 points. Shooting very well from beyond the arc in about 32.5 minutes per game. So three tough players to always prepare for. Obviously, coach is very focused on Clarion, but a team in Slippery Rock is going to come in looking to respond to a tough loss at their home court, where Cal U picked up their first win in almost a decade. So that will wrap up today's Danny Sancomb show. Be sure to be watching on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. The men's team will be back in action. WCAL, CUTV on the call. That'll wrap up today's Danny Sancomb show. Thanks for watching.